Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai Bahashim Kahakudash. I also want to give double honors to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule as well as peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect. All right, today I want to go into a topic, all right, that's stemming from Elder Yashawamba's video that he did yesterday um, on GMS Remnant Say 144 about repenting, turn back to your first love, as well as the video response that the Captain Shaquat did as well, right? And long story short, as soon as I saw the response video, a lesson popped up in my spirit, and it's entitled, Nothing is Promised But the Promise. Nothing is promised but the promise. Because, as the scripture says, how a hope deferred maketh the heart sick. Hey, Shalom, sister Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai Bahashim Hakodash Brakatah. All right. Hope deferred make the heart sick. And what happens is you come into this knowledge, you're fervent, you're on fire, you got 6 months of your first 6 months, your first year, you could just almost have a flame come out your hand and just aim it towards the ground and make a freaking hole in the ground, man. You just on fire, man. All right, because in your mind you believe that the Lord is gonna come back no later than 6 months from now. But then that journey, that voyage is extended. You know, within the human mind, it feels as though the odyssey, the length of it has been extended. And even if you exist in the faith, all right, even if you're doing the works, all right, the inner man can dwindle, man. You know, and it's just one thing I've been practicing, man, and I make an effort to do is just be real with myself, man. All right, just gotta be real with yourself and know where you slipping at. The scripture says, a wise man know when he slippeth, man. All right? You know, and as time progresses, you can naturally lose that flame. But also what I've learned, the scripture says in Sirach 23, turn away from me vain hopes and concupiscences, man, which are really like desires. Concupiscences are things you deeply desire. But in the book of Sirach, it said, the water, brother, I'm gonna get there soon. The book of Sirach, it said, the 23rd chapter, turn away from me vain hopes and concupiscences, man. And if you're in this truth, and for an extended period of time, you could be tempted with vain hopes, man. But the journey is a lot easier. The journey becomes easier mentally, all right, within your spirit, when you understand that nothing is promised except for the promise. So the only thing that you should really hope for is the promise. All right? That job that pays way better, it might not call you back. All right? That baddie, she might not call you back. Or it might be she might ghost you. Like, you got to already just know that it might not happen. That car you really wanted, you might not get approved for that car. Okay? All right, it's certain things that you can find yourself hoping for, and then when it doesn't happen, your heart becomes sick, your mind becomes disenchanted, and the last thing you need in this faith is things that disenchant your mind, man. The last thing you need within this faith is things that just makes you, like Elder Yashawamba was getting to, more and more bitter, man. Because a lot of times you can cause your own bitterness unintentionally, all right, because you started to hope in things that were never in prophecy, man. All right? Or your escapisms became your normalcy. You know, things that, you know, you're supposed to, you know, your vices that you have your liberty in as a man, all right, it's becoming your normalcy now, man. It's becoming your escape. It's becoming your crutch. All right? And we could all fall for it, man. Like, honestly, I'm watching this video that Elder Yashawamba did yesterday, and I'm just, you know, just taking it in, man. Like, damn. You know? Because you can have there's a saying, about a person, let's say a performer who's no longer in their prime, and they will say, "Oh, that person is a shell of themselves." So you can have the outer layer of a prophet, but inwardly, hey, Satan is doing his thing, man, and it's scary. You know, that's why we have to fight. Hey, like Elder Pascal Brar said when I first came in, hey, it's a fight to stay in this truth, man. You know, and I will say, doing the videos that helps you keep in the spirit, linking up with brothers, even just carving out time to do the works, man, and really prioritizing it, carving out time to read. You know, like Elder Kazaki Allah said, you know, reading is a form of spiritual power, in a sense that you're giving your spirit power. All right, and a lot of times that idle mind, I'm saying this from experience, it just really comes from not pouring into your spirit, man. Okay? And I've noticed that a lot of times the Lord give us talents or hobbies and passions, all right, as an outlet to let out. Hey, Shalom, brother. I ain't know you was in here, you know. That's why you can't talk shit about a brother, man. He could be in your chat room. I'm just joking, man. But yeah, Shalom a lot. But yeah, that's why the Lord gives us talent. You know, the Lord gives us talents and hobbies, you know, talents and hobbies to let out, man. To let out. What is an outlet? You let out. Because sometimes you can't read. Or your mind might go somewhere else. You're trying to watch videos. But it's okay to have a hobby or a passion. Some brothers, they write music or they write songs. But that creative spirit, you let out. You know? The creative spirit, you let out. All right, and it gives you a clearer head to do the works. And even certain enjoyments that you might have, you have to remember it's all surrounded by the truth, man. You know, certain things that we enjoy, certain vices that you might have that's not a sin, you know, you have to remember why you're doing it. It's to give you balance, man. When you can't focus and you can't concentrate, you can't focus and you can't concentrate, that, you know, that's a sign that it's time to have an outlet, man. Sometimes the most I put it on your spirit to go watch a movie or to go, like, I've learned to don't let that don't overtake that feeling, because I've learned when you just too stoic and you don't have your enjoyments, you know, you don't have your enjoyments, you become stale, man. All right, but let me get these scriptures, these Tawab scriptures. Proverbs 13:12. Hope deferred maketh the heart sick, but when the desire cometh, it is a tree of life. All right. So, but the only hope is the promise, man. The only hope you should have and really have is the promise. Man, a brother might have thought he was gonna get his income tax, man. Man, it's been certain times you might have thought, man, you was gonna get your income tax. Oh, I done messed up this camera. It's been sometimes you thought you was gonna get your income tax. You thought you was gonna get a couple bands, man. You didn't get shit. Come to find out you owe money, and it's like, oh man. But just imagine if you would have gave your soul over to that, man. You know. And you know, and it just, hey, and Satan throws, the scripture speak about the wiles of Satan. All right, one of his darts, you know, I believe through the spirit, is to plant false hopes into your mind. All right, you have to remember, the scripture says we're going to be his pilgrims, man. There's no way that you could hope in this kingdom and in the same breath be a reject, man. There's no way that you could hope in this kingdom and in the same breath be a reject. You can't have this pilgrim mindset, but in the same breath you investing in it. All right. So yeah, you gotta live, and yeah, you have to have your outlets. Yeah, you just can't be a guy that's just inside your head, but at the same time, you know, you have to remember everything you're doing is for the truth. So no two brothers are exactly alike when it comes to their leisure. But one thing I've learned, man, because I'm gonna tell you, man, When the Most High puts you by yourself, you forced to deal with yourself. If you got to get your own apartment, you know, let's say you had a divorce or some shit, and you gotta live with yourself, man. It's like, damn. And you find out that you're the demon. You're your only demon, man. Then you really find out that you got these weaknesses and things because you don't have the word rooted in you, man. Because you unintentionally been tempted with not putting your spirit back into the word, man. You know? And I've been making an effort to do it, and I have to do it more. I haven't done it lately. I have to make effort to do it more consistently. But my mindset is to read Sirach, man. And the reason why I said it, because if we got the elder brother in the camp, one of the elders, he speaks about 70% of what you do, nobody sees. No, they only see the 30% when you upload the videos, man. You know? But I've learned scriptures like the book of Sirach, the book of Proverbs, even the Gospels. It tells you how to behave, man. You know, it keeps your flesh in check, man. Because we're men in Babylon, man. So you can find yourself giving your concupiscences over to short-lived pleasures excessively, or you just start to invest in hope into Babylon without balance, man. You know, some brothers are they have enterprising, entrepreneurial spirits, but you know, you don't want that to, you know, choke the word, because the scriptures speak about choking the word. And some brothers, they might not do nothing. Some brothers might not do anything. They might go to work and go home, but they're still being vain and unproductive, man. Because their soil inside your mind is dry, because their water is not being poured into it, man. You know? Turn away from me vain hopes and concupiscences. Let me get that. It's from the brother Yahweh. Sirach 23:5. Turn away from me vain hopes and concupiscences, and thou shalt hold him up that is desirous always to serve thee, man. So look, man, American dream was a vain hope, but as time is prolonged in regards to getting the kingdom, I've learned, man, Satan can plant vain hopes in your mind. So a brother got to find this balance in, you know, handling business as a man, maybe dabbing into certain things, but that's the side thing, man. You know, really what you have going on in the background can't affect you in this truth, man. All right? But I've learned, man. Like I keep saying I've learned, man, but you know, I'm a student, man. All because you've been in this truth X amount of years, that don't mean you just fucking on point like that, man. All right? I'm a student. You know? But, you know, we can't get tricked and get distracted, because Babylon is a kingdom of distractions, man. And Satan, his whole thing is to steal your mind, steal your focus. You remember that movie starring Will Smith called Focus? And it was 1 hour and 44 minutes long. And I just thought about it through the spirit. It's a fight to focus. The hardest fight, man, is truth. If you sit there and think about it, is to keep your attention. It's to stay in the spirit. And it's a science to it, because you can't just literally read 24 hours a day, because your mind will reject it after a while. So now you got to find your balance, you know, a time to embrace, a time to refrain from embracing, man. You know? But that's something, you know, the beautiful thing, and I'm glad the elder brother Yasha Wamba did a video on it, and I'm glad the brother Captain Shaquat did a response, all right? Because the beauty of this truth is that your heart glows when you remember the prophecy, and you get excited when you find out that we're close to the prophecies, that we're in prophecies, you know? Because you can get jaded and you can become indifferent, you know? I forgot the theory, but it's a theory in psychology where Basically, if somebody tells you something over and over again, you could lose your interest in it. For example, your parents can tell you certain idioms, certain adages all throughout your life. But the fact that they tell you over and over again, you can lose your interest in what they're saying. It doesn't mean it's no longer true. It is that you become jaded. So same thing with this truth. You know, you see certain topics of the videos, certain video topics or certain scriptures, and you feel like, well, I already know that, or I'm familiar with that, you know. But it's really the flesh, and I believe it's Satan, man, because it's the topics in the videos. It's what keep your spirit renewed, man. You know, a brother had this example. He was like, in regards to doing videos, he said you feed the sheep when you do a lesson, right? For brothers and sisters that's watching. So you go a day without doing a video, that's a day you didn't feed your sheep. You know, you go 2-3 days a week, 2 weeks, you done went 2 weeks without feeding your sheep. They don't think of shit. If you're not pouring into your spirit, that's a day without drinking water. That's a day without eating, man. You done went a day without, you know, being in the spirit, you know, reading or whatever, man. Not whatever, but you know what I mean. You went a day without reading, a day without watching the videos, man. Hey, your soil, it started drying up in your mind. And that's when a lot of mistakes get made and the flesh takes over, because, the soil got dry mentally. The scripture says, come unto her as one that ploweth, you know? So, I mean, you know, this truth is a sword, not only from when we defending the gospel, when we really, it's a sword also because it defends us against being affected from the world, man. Because Babylon is full of psychos, it's full of cutthroats, all right, it's full of assholes, it's full of people who have no consideration, all right, and that can affect you if you allow it. So the scriptures is a sword, it's a defense from over-internalizing the effects of Babylon, man. Over-internalizing the wrong that people have done, and it lives in your head, you know. And we say, yeah, you know, we quote the scripture, we battle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. But are you really living off that? You know? Are you really living off that mindset that we battle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, man? All right, but once again, man, and that's what I learned about women too. When Satan deals with your woman and you got a woman living with you or whatever, or you just dealing with a woman, she's really good at making you give your attention over another dream. She wants to replace the vision of the kingdom, your goals in the kingdom, to really some earthly dream, man. You know, what's going to be our goals 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you know? Because even people who love you, who are in the world, they don't have the vision of the kingdom. So they'll look at how you make money. They'll look at what you do for a living. And they'll, of course, want you to do better. Or they'll want you to go back to school. But they don't understand, you know, this is for the kingdom, man. Now, granted, you got to work. You got to pay your bills and things. But, you know, these are micro sacrifices compared to the sacrifice of Yahushua, man. And now that I'm older, I'm seeing a lot of people my age who did go to college, and they'll tell you, man, college was a scam. All right, but college is a reflective of a mindset of somebody that's investing in this kingdom, man. You know. But once again, it's natural, you know, to be on an extended journey and to get tired, to get dehydrated, you know. It's okay, but the Most High gave us the water. He gave us the tools to be rehabilitated, man. But I'm gonna bring this live stream to a closing. I hope you brothers and sisters were edified. Once again, we want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Kahakodash. I also want to give double honors to our elder apostles, elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect, the Bible Baal, Shalom.